Nemo on the go. Let's go. Here with my boy, who?
It's your boy Willie, man. I'm from Eagle Vision Motivation, Vision Poetry LLC. What's going on, man?
Yeah, shit. I'm just chilling, bro. It's a nice day.
It definitely
It's
is.
warm outside.
Yeah. Weather's starting to break. Yeah.
Yeah. What you got going on though? Like, shit, I see you doing your thing with the poetry and all that, man.
Yes,
You
sir.
had shit at the library, like what? Last month?
Last week actually.
Last week.
Yep.
Right.
Last week we did a poetry seminar. So we were talking to people how to do ekphrastic poetry. So basically, what ekphrastic poetry is when you use an image and you write a poem based off the image, what it resonates to you. So you just look at a photo and just see the feelings, the emotions, the thought process that come from it, and you just write poetry to it. It was pretty cool. It was decent.
So like, what inspired you to like do poetry?
What inspired me, man? I would definitely say like growing up, I always dealt with a lot of issues interpersonally, like inside myself, and it was always hard for me to talk it out to somebody. I didn't really have that one person I could just, talk to. Just let know what's going on. And so basically, one day I was talking to my mom. She's like, if you can't get it out, talk to somebody, just write it on paper. Write it on paper, give it to someone else, or you just get rid of it. At least you get those emotions, those thoughts out.
So you got like a journal or something like that?
Yeah. It started off with the journal. I would just write down like a letter to myself each day, just tell myself how my day went, and just talk about the struggles that I went through, the good things that happened that day, just like a notebook, like a diary almost. And eventually it just turned into a rhythm and just turned into poetry.
So growing up, like it was rough for you, like really rough?
I wouldn't say it was rough, because I grew up with a very nice lifestyle. Both my parents are military. So growing up, we went to a lot of schools that were on like military bases, around a lot of military families. So it was a lot of structure, a lot of things going on around us. But as I got into high school, I started dealing with like anxiety and depression and anger issues.
Oh, yeah.
So it just a lot of things from there expired, and that's when most of my, I would say, struggles began. And when I turned 18, I wound up becoming homeless. I got my first place when I was 20. And
wait. How do you become homeless?
how did I become homeless?
Like,
So
like you got like problems with the people and stuff like that going on, bro. It's not like you living the luxury, man.
I was living a good lifestyle. That's a good, a lot of people ask that question, how do you go from living like a nice lifestyle just to being homeless?
Your daddy
That's
must have been on some major pain type shit.
No, not necessarily. So, again, having military parents, a lot of structure in the house. You're supposed to do certain things at a certain time. Everything again is structured.
Yeah.
So I was never one to listen
yeah.
to. I was never one to listen to people. And then I was always acting like an angry response. Like if I don't want to do it, I'm like,
That's hard to believe, bro.
yeah. I mean, I'm a totally different person now.
Because
Because a lot of things, life, just got to me. It's like, dang, you got to slow down. Now I got 2 kids. I'm married. My anniversary for my marriage is coming up next month. So it's like, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So a lot of things came into perspective, especially when I had my first son. It's like the whole world had to change. I had to change the way that I thought, the way that I acted, the way I presented myself. Because I'm raising a young king,
I mean, when I first met you, like, you didn't have, like, kids at first, though.
Nah.
And you was, like, already, like, humble, like this. Like, you was cool, you feel me? Like, you wasn't, you feel me? Like, you was still cool, you feel me? Like, kid, with a drink,
Yeah.
Man, you feel me? Go outside, but you wasn't really, like, you like, I still gotta do this, you feel me? I'm going to school, I'm finna get this done, you feel me? Like, you just take care of business. And that's how I look at it. You take care of business. You been taking care of business.
Definitely. Especially in the education point, you gotta stay educated, because regardless of what you do, you need a degree to do anything. In this time, we coming out of COVID now, the economy done changed a lot. So you gotta go to school to get some kind of, at least a little some kind of education, or just have experience on a position,
at least
to rank yourself up. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
At least a diploma, because that right there is gonna get you a lot of places. A lot of places.
A high school diploma still get you $25 these days.
Oh yeah,
it looks better than the GED. Like honestly,
it does. It does. You got a certain skill set, to go after it.
That's why I'm happy my parents on my ass. So I couldn't grow up too fast. By the time I turned like 20, I was doing stuff that people was doing when they was 18. I'm like, dang, I'm lame, man. But then I was thinking like, nah, my people, you feel me? They just wouldn't let none of that happen, you feel me? Like, I was on rebellious time, you feel me? But they on that same time, so you feel me? It's like, nah, you ain't finna act like this.
Yeah.
We no matter what, you gotta come back and lay your head here, you feel me?
That's true. That's true. You know, it's crazy. My parents used to say all the time growing up, like, don't grow up too fast. When you become an adult, you're gonna wish you slowed down. And then they also used to tell us, you know, the lessons we're trying to teach you today as a kid, when I was like maybe 10, 12, you know, the lessons we're teaching you today is not just for you to understand today, it's for years later when you're 20, when you're 30. And I appreciate them lessons because back then I wasn't trying to listen to a thing at all.
It make you think, it make you like everything that your parents told you when you was younger, as you grow up, like you be realizing it like all like one by one, and then like you just see what they was telling you. But at first you didn't understand it because you still a child, and the way that they say it, you feel me like, I don't know, they be, you know, them people, you probably know better than I do, you know, they come out with them, you know, them people in the hood, they be saying all types of wives, like, I don't know, I can't say it because I don't know it, you feel me, I can't say it off top of the head, like, I'm sorry, y'all. So, but look, I know you heard of something like, your mama tell you something like, and then, like, just something that don't make no sense. But at the end of the day, it makes sense. But you still young, so it don't really make sense to you.
Yeah, like my dad used to say this thing all the time. He used to say, what did he say? If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change.
Yeah, something like that.
And I never know what that meant growing up. I never understood that. But it makes sense now as an adult. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at a situation like it's a difficult situation, it's going to be a difficult situation.
Yeah.
But if you change your mindset, you say it's going to be a good situation, you work hard through it, it's going to turn out to be a good situation.
It's two scenarios out of every situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably millions of scenarios.
Yeah.
All of them, most of them, they gonna split up. You feel me? It's gonna be either this or that. And people, they just be having hard times probably making the best decision for themselves because they was never thinking about this alternative. You was thinking about what's going on right now. Yeah,
definitely. That's definitely a mindset that I had growing up. You know, it's always one way. It's not. There's no side streets. There's no other options. It's always one way, and that was my way. You know, and that definitely. You know, growing up, it was understandable having that kind of mindset because again, I see my siblings. They had the same kind of mindset, but you don't realize the effects of it until you get older, until you experience certain things in life. So yeah.
Man, I always understood like why people be telling people when they be getting into it with them like you ain't never really been through nothing. You ain't never. Cause everybody be going through different things, but like me, I was thinking like I went through certain things that probably other people didn't go through, but like or many people have went through, but just not the people you feel me that I be around.
Yeah,
you feel me, but I don't really be. Me, I'm not the type of person that's gonna dwell on the past, what's going on in the past, it's like what's going on in the future. Cause you never know what's gonna lie for you ahead in the future, you feel me? If you dwell up on the past, you gonna live in the past. Like, that's what somebody had told me, like, if you keep thinking about the past, and you keep talking about the past, you gonna end up in the past.
Repeating it all over again.
All over again. You'll never move around anywhere. You gotta think about the future. Like, sometimes you just gotta pack your bags and just leave.
Yeah. At the same time, though, on the same token, you know, though it's not good to dwell on the past, it's always good to reflect on the past because there's always lessons you can learn from situations you're already in before. Yeah. So as long as you don't stay in there too long, you know what I mean? Don't stay in there too long, like you said. Don't dwell in the past. You just reflect on it.
Because that's how I used to be. I used to be kind of depressed and all that. I used to have acts out of anger, you feel me? But as I started... When I really be thinking about it and when I really be like, just sit down, just be chilling and just be thinking about it, like, it'd be like, what's gonna be the point of me doing this, you feel me? Like, it ain't even gonna help me out. So, I gotta come up with a plan to do this. I gotta come up with a plan to pay the rent, you feel me? You don't have no time to stress me. You gotta make them type of moves. So you shouldn't be stressing though. Your next focus should be like, where I'm finna get this bread from.
Definitely.
I got a whip. I'm finna go hop on DoorDash real quick.
It's always about getting that hustle on, you know. At the same token, you know, it's like, dang, sometimes you be in the spot mentally, it's like, you know, I don't got the energy to do this. I just don't want to do it, but you got to just change that mindset and say, you know, I got to do it regardless because, again, you got responsibilities to take care of.
And then, like, it'd be people like you, too, though. Like, what you go to school for? You went to school for, like, what, nurse's aid?
So, initially, I went to State Career College, and I went as a medical assistant.
Medical assistant. Oh.
So, I graduated in 2017 as a medical assistant, but I've been working as an MA now since then. Yeah. But now I'm back enrolled at State Career College in my nursing program now as an OPN.
I thought you was teaching up there.
I used to teach the medical assistant course. I was one of the clinical instructors. So when it came down to like teaching people how to give injections, how to draw blood, how to do EKGs and monitor the heart.
So you not scared of none of that? Like you not scared like you might like poke somebody in the wrong spot or something like that?
No. I mean initially I was. Initially I was. I look into it when I was younger. I was like, dang, we really gotta use these needles, you know, because I used to hate going to the doctor growing up. So going into the medical field is like, dang, how you do that, you know?
Yeah, cause my auntie she had pulled me up to one of her class. She had needed somebody, you know, draw blood for one of her class. He was gonna ask her son, but then like he was on some whole nother stuff. So he asked me that she had drew my blood. I'm so just looking at her like, man, you better not miss. So I don't know, like, so.
Cause shoot, it hurts regardless. Getting your blood drawn, but if you miss, you go in the wrong spot. That's gonna hurt even worse. You know, yeah. I used to hate drawing blood initially, man, because again, you never know the reaction of the person you drawing blood from.
You had a lot of bad reactions.
I've had a couple. I've seen a couple people faint. I've seen a couple people, they jerked their arm back while the needle was still in their arm. And they were just, you know, I didn't see people turn blue. I didn't see purple people get sweaty and stuff. So it gets kind of crazy, but it's cool though. At the same time, it's cool.
Definitely, it do though. It definitely do get crazy.
Even still now, like when I go to the doctor, I still watch everything that the nurse does, the doctor does. Like, make sure you do it right.
Yeah, man. But like, what made you go into that career though?
Into the medical field?
Yeah, because you could have did anything. You could have went for construction. You could have went for cosmetology. You could have become a barber or anything like that. And then you had told me like you had went homeless at like 18. So like, what had led you up at that point when you was 18? Like when you was homeless, like what you had going on at that point in time?
So
because that probably lead up to what made you become through that.
Yeah. So when I was homeless, I was in Waukegan. I used to actually go to Pat's homeless shelter on Grand and Lewis. So I spent like the whole summer until like almost the winter time in the shelter. Like certain days it was like you had to get on a bus. In a bus, you get on the bus and maybe like 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they take you somewhere. They take you like to a church, or they take you somewhere. You just sleep there for the night, and then they give you a meal. Then you go back to the place in the morning, back to the homeless shelter, and you just figure it out for the rest of the day. You gotta leave the building, so you just walking around Waukegan, and it's just like, what do you do at this point? You're out there, have nothing to do. You gotta carry your bags with you because you don't want to steal your stuff. You know, so it's like, what can I do to get myself out of this situation? Because don't nobody want to be homeless. No one wants to be homeless. You know, I remember there were days where I wasn't able to make it on the bus to get to the church, so I had to figure it out on my own. You know. So whether it was unfortunately having to steal food or steal money from somebody at a time just because I need to get by. When I was homeless, you know, it wasn't the right thing to do, but I had to get what I needed. You know what I mean? But try to get out that situation.
But did you have to go through that situation though, of being homeless?
Honestly, to be completely honest, I didn't. You know, if I would have stayed the track that I was supposed to stay on, you know, while I was still in school, when I graduated from high school, if I would have done the things I was supposed to do, I wouldn't have had to go that route. You know what I mean? My life would be totally different. But I chose to do something different. And when you choose whatever decision you choose, you also choose the consequence, whether you know it or not. You know, it just comes after you make your choice.
Yeah, you a lucky person. Because most people that go down that route and be on that playing field, they'll drift off. Like, you more than came back. You know.
I mean, I can say there were times where I did drift back. You know, again, I fell into a depression. I was angry. I was fighting people. You know, and it was just because I was mad because of the situation I was in. You know, but I started working at this place called Rogan's Shoes. It was on Grand and Baldwin initially. So this is how I got into school. So Grand and Baldwin was where Rogan's used to be. They closed it. It's something else now. I forget what it is.
It's like right there by Lewis Produce.
Yeah, right next to Lewis Produce. Yeah. So I used to work there. I worked there for maybe like a year just selling shoes. But across the street was State Career College. I used to always see people in scrubs coming out that building. I never knew what it was. People used to tell me it was an old plasma center. So I'm like, there's all these people coming out. These can't all be people doing plasma because these are like students. So I walked in there one day and I met this lady. Actually, no. Yeah, I walked in there and I met this lady. I just talked to her for a little bit, but then I left. I never really got any information, but I kept seeing people come out. And I was getting more and more interested in what they were doing. They had these signs on the outside of the building. They said medical assistant, dental assistant, you know, CNA. So just knowing it was a medical school at that time really got me interested because I always saw the body as like a puzzle. And I really like puzzles. You know, so it's like when you find something that's broken or out of place, how do you fix it? So, again, a couple of days later, I was walking by and this lady who was starting there, her name was Kenya Gray. She was one of the admissions advisors. She called me from across the street. I talked to her that day about the school, and I was enrolled probably like the next week. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I got into the medical field just because it was there. It was by opportunity, you know. But as I got into it, I really enjoyed it. I began to love the medical field. But I think it's something everybody should know. You know, at least CPR.